Welcome to Reality Exposed. Here are some of the saddest reality and heartbreaking stories of casino addiction. Warning. Some of these stories can be triggers as it discusses money and monetary losses. Story 1. This is day 0 for me. Here's my story. This is where I'm at now. I have lost over $250,000 in total and am $20,000 in debt. More importantly, I lost my wife and now only see my son 3 days a week. This is how I got here. I slowly developed a sports betting addiction over the last 5 years. It started small. I wagered $100 maximum on a single bet, and I would panic if I was in the red at all. For years, I was in the black, about $8,000 at most. I was thoughtful and researched almost every wager. Then I went on a really bad losing streak. I generally kept my wife in the loop on how I was doing. I told her that I had lost a lot of the profit I'd made and that I wanted to make a big bet to try to get it back. Since it was all profit at that point, she didn't care. I put $1,000 on the Washington Capitals to beat the St. Louis Blues at 120 or so. That bet lost. I didn't immediately spiral into massive risky bets. But betting soon took over my life to an unfathomable degree. It dominated my thoughts the way my wife used to when we first met. I literally couldn't stop thinking about it. I hated that I had lost so much and needed to get it back. In the next period of my life, I was constantly on my phone checking scores. At this point, I had stopped telling my wife what I was doing. I told her I needed to check my phone in order to stay up to the minute for my job, which is sports related. Predictably, my addiction destroyed my marriage. I won't go into much detail, but suffice it to say I was an absolute crap partner and father for years. My attention was never on my wife and son, at least not fully. My wife eventually came to feel very differently about me and demanded I leave our house. That was about 2 years ago. It should have been a turning point, and in some ways it was. I sought psychiatric help for depression and acknowledged what an asshole I had been. The antidepressants definitely had an impact. It was like slowly coming out of a coma. I couldn't quite believe how awful I had been to the people I loved the most. I slowed down my betting a little and got considerably better at hiding my phone. But I didn't stop. My wife and I tried to reconcile during quarantine. It was a disaster. We were both trying to work from home with our young child. She was confronted 24/7 with a person who had, at worst, traumatized her and, at best, completely neglected her for the better part of a decade. I was supposed to be the one person she could always trust and rely on, and I had turned into a fraud. Even though I was slowly starting to return to better mental health, I couldn't undo the emotional damage I had inflicted. There was no going back. Eventually, she said she didn't love me anymore and wanted a divorce. This frickin' destroyed me. I don't know if I have the words to express how deeply I loved this woman. Here is the best I can do. For most of my life, nothing frightened me more than my own death. There were nights when my existential dread kept me awake until sunrise. I would have gone to the gallows for her without hesitation. I would have wrapped the noose around my own neck and pulled the lever if she needed me to. When she told me she wanted a divorce, I moved out for good and started betting non-stop. It's a miracle I didn't get fired. I was so unproductive during the day. If I wasn't betting, I was thinking about the fact that I would never be her partner again. I was thinking about her sleeping with someone else. I didn't want to be alive anymore. It took me about 6 months to rack up $50,000 worth of debt and lose about $65,000 in total. Eventually, I broke down and told my parents about the hole I had dug for myself. They were surprised but were also very understanding. They knew the emotional toll losing my family had taken on me. They lent me some money to at least pay off my credit card. A few months ago, our divorce was finalized, and I acquired about $175,000 from the sale of our home. I paid off my existing debts and had about $125,000 in the bank. My dad, smartly, said he thought I should put the money in a joint account with him, one where we would both have to sign off before money could be withdrawn. I told him I wasn't a gambling addict. I told him I had chased my losses because I was hyper-competitive and couldn't stand losing, but that I had learned from past mistakes. I am a gambling addict, and I haven't learned anything. I have lost every penny and more. I started making max bets on whatever betting sites I hadn't excluded myself from in moments of clarity. Much like the day my wife asked me to leave our home, I am sitting here in disbelief about what I have done. Losing all of my money is an awful feeling. But what I did to the woman I loved is far worse. Gambling didn't only turn me into a different person, it indirectly turned her into a different person, as well. She loved me, she trusted me, she needed me. And I wasn't there for her during the most difficult years of her life. The toll that takes on a person is immense. She bears little resemblance to the optimistic, compassionate, unflinchingly principled woman she used to be. Now I feel more like a widower than a divorcee. I don't consider myself overly smart or overly skilled. I'm pretty average in almost every way, shape, and form. The one area I think I may be anomalous is determination. I'm not sure how many days I have left on this planet, but I am going to spend every single one of them trying to be the person my wife thought I was. Quitting gambling is step 1. Story 2. 2 years today and $100,000 debt gone. What a surreal moment. I remember being where many of y'all are at 2 years ago. I gambled away Harvard Med School, a successful startup, and landed $100,000 in debt. I disappointed loved ones, battled stress, and was constantly anxious. I realized that I would never win it back. Even when I won, I would give more back. Gambling was robbing me of all I wanted. I saw my losses as a stupid tax and decided to quit. Here I am 2 years later. I've been married, started a new career, and am much happier. Story 3. Don't be like me, you still have a chance. I am 28 years old. I live in Australia and I am a gambling addict. I have always gambled a little, but it never got out of control until March 2021, 1 year ago. Before then I had savings, a great job, great friends, great family. Life was really looking up for me. Then I won $80,000 AUD one day. That $80,000 I gambled away in 3 days. I then continued to go through all the $50,000 I had in savings. Took out $60,000 in debt in credit cards and loans. Borrowed $20,000 from friends and family and have basically blown through my salary for the last year. In a year I have lost between $250,000 and $300,000. It isn't just the monetary losses. I have lost all my close friends. My family wants nothing to do with me. I have tried to end my life 3 times and failed every one of those. Lost my job, and had been kicked out of 3 places I lived in, so I was homeless many times and I still turned to gambling. I turned to fraudulent ways to obtain money and now have 3 court cases I am dealing with. There is a good chance that I will serve time in jail for this and have a criminal record. Gambling has well and truly destroyed my life. I have destroyed my life. I went from being a well-respected software developer and a fantastic friend and family man to being a degenerate who has lost the will to live. The cards are not in my favor going forward, but I will keep pressing forward and trying to make a life for myself. I will die trying in that pursuit. My hope from this post is that it connects with someone and inspires them to take a different path in life and turn away from gambling. I had plenty of opportunities to take a different route in life, but I just kept going down a bad path in life. I have a mountain to climb if I make it that far. But please, if you are in a deep dark place with gambling, grab it by the balls and tell it to F off. Then take command of your life. Story 4. If there is one feeling I don't miss at all during my gambling days, 6 months clean. I'm sure you all know this feeling, for me. The feeling typically started no more than 3 or 4 hours after midnight when my direct deposit hits my account while I'm already waiting at the casino ATM. You know, that feeling when I walk out of the casino and jump in my car to drive home, knowing I have to live on $10 for another 2 weeks until the next payday. Living exactly 2 weeks, counting every second of every day and night, not being able to plan anything including a fun weekend or eat right. Every 2 weeks, pretty much like clockwork. Paycheck in, lose a few $1,000s all within a couple of hours, and barely live for 2 weeks. Then, on the very next payday, completely forget how crappy I lived for the prior 2 weeks. Run to the casino at 12 a.m. on payday and wait at ATM for direct deposit. Repeat the process. Every 2 weeks for 3 years. Damn casinos. Damn me. Damn, my addiction. Yeah, for the last 6 months now, I don't miss that feeling. Story 5. I lost my best friend. Dear reader, on Friday I lost my best friend to him taking his own life. I'm not a gambler, but he was. He was only 24 but had been gambling on and off for around 7 years. He was the best guy that I knew. He struggled with it for years, going to GA meetings, yielding control of his finances, and seeing therapists. His rationale, in the end, was that his friends and family would be better off without him being a burden on them. He believed there was no light at the end of the tunnel, that he would just spiral down and down, bringing everyone with him. Please listen when I say that he is wrong. He is so wrong. We are all completely shattered, and no amount of money could bring him back. I would slave away the rest of my life paying his debts just to have him back here for another second. You can do this. Your family loves you, your friends love you. Please, no matter what, hang in there. You can get through this. Reach out. There are support services out there. There are people who dedicate their lives to helping people like you. My heart goes out to all of you who are struggling with this horrible addiction.